Hello there, my friends. Let me start with a little question. Have you ever looked in the mirror in the morning and thought to yourself, how in the world did I get to be this age so quickly? I'm 80 years old now, and I ask myself that from time to time. It's not the wrinkles or the gray hair that catch me off guard. That part I was expecting. It's the little surprises, the quiet challenges, the things no one really warns you about when you're younger. Now, I've spent over 30 years advising people on health and wellness, most of them older adults, and I can tell you getting older is a journey, one full of both beauty and difficulty. The aches and pains, the medications, the doctor visits, those are obvious. But the real struggles, they sneak up on you slowly, almost invisibly. And one day, you wake up and realize something's missing in me, and I need to figure out what it is. I've seen it not only in myself, but in countless men and women I've worked with. People in their 60s, 70s, even 80s, who once lived with energy, passion, and curiosity, suddenly finding themselves stuck in routines, feeling more like survivors than participants in life. And that's the part of aging that worries me more than any medical chart or lab result. The slow decline of spirit, of curiosity, of joy. Let me tell you about a friend of mine, Bill. Bill was 72 when I first met him. He had retired from a long career as an engineer. His health on paper looked decent. Blood pressure under control, cholesterol in check, a little arthritis, but nothing too serious. But when I sat across from him, I noticed something troubling. His eyes looked tired, not from lack of sleep, but from lack of spark. When I asked him what he did most days, he shrugged. Oh, I just watch the news, maybe mow the lawn if it needs it, and wait for the kids to call. That right there broke my heart. Bill wasn't sick, but he wasn't really living either. He was simply passing the time, waiting. And waiting, my friends, is not the same as living. I share this because I've been there too. After my wife passed away 10 years ago, I fell into my own trap of routines. I woke up, made the same breakfast every day, sat in the same chair, read the same newspaper, walked the same route in the neighborhood. I told myself I was keeping busy, but in reality, I was just numbing myself with familiarity. It was safe, yes, but it was also slowly draining the life out of me. And then one day, something changed. I went to visit my granddaughter's school for a little science fair. Those kids, maybe 9 or 10 years old, their eyes were wide open, curious about everything. One boy showed me his volcano project and asked me, "Grandpa, do you think real volcanoes are bigger than skyscrapers?" His question, simple as it was, lit something inside me. I realized I had stopped asking questions a long time ago. I had stopped being curious. That's when I understood something important. Aging doesn't kill curiosity. Giving up does. And curiosity, my friends, is the lifeline of vitality. I started changing little things in my daily routine. Instead of reading the same paper every morning, I picked up books about topics I knew nothing about. Astronomy, cooking, even gardening. I signed up for a local history lecture at the library. I even tried learning how to play the harmonica. Was I any good? Not really. But that wasn't the point. The point was that I was waking up my mind again. And do you know what happened? My body started responding too. I felt lighter on my feet, I slept better, and even my doctor noticed improvements in my overall energy levels. It was as if by feeding my mind, I was also feeding my body. That's something I want all of you to understand. As we age, the temptation is to shrink our world, to keep things predictable and safe. We convince ourselves we can't do new things anymore. But that's simply not true. Our bodies may slow down, but our minds, our hearts, they are capable of wonder until our very last breath, if we allow them. I remember another man, Charles, who was 83 when I met him. He had spent most of his life as a carpenter. After his wife passed, he started building birdhouses, hundreds of them. He painted each one with unique colors and designs, then gave them away to neighbors, schools, and community centers. When I asked him why, he said, because I can't travel much anymore, but those birds can. And every time someone hangs one of these, I feel like a part of me is still flying. Isn't that beautiful? Charles found a way to keep his curiosity and creativity alive, even when life tried to narrow his path. He didn't let aging silence him. So here's the truth I want to share with you today. Aging is not just about years passing. It's about whether we choose to keep asking questions, to keep trying, to keep finding meaning. We can either sit in our chairs and wait, or we can get up, literally or figuratively, and keep walking forward. One of the quiet battles of old age is loneliness. It doesn't come knocking loudly. It slips in through the cracks of your days. You lose a spouse or a sibling, or a neighbor moves away. Suddenly the house feels too big, the evenings too quiet. I know this feeling all too well. After my wife passed, the silence in our home was the loudest sound I'd ever heard. It wasn't the kind of silence that comforted. It was the kind that pressed down on you. I remember sitting in my living room, staring at the clock, realizing I hadn't spoken a single word out loud that entire day. Not one. Loneliness is dangerous, not just emotionally, but physically. Studies show that chronic loneliness can be as harmful to your health as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. It raises your risk for heart disease, dementia, and depression. But here's the tricky part. When you're lonely, it becomes even harder to reach out because you feel like a burden, or you convince yourself that no one really wants to hear from you. So what do? I learned that you can't just wait for company to arrive. You have to take the first step. I started small, joining a men's breakfast group at the local diner once a week. At first, it felt awkward, like I was intruding on their routine. But the more I went, the more they welcomed me. Soon, that one breakfast turned into friendships, and friendships turned into support. When my hip surgery came around, those same guys showed up at my house with casseroles and lawnmowers. They had my back because I had made the choice to show up for them. Another example is my neighbor Susan. She's 70 and widowed. She told me she used to go weeks without seeing anyone. Then she started volunteering at the animal shelter, just a couple of hours a week. She said, I thought I was doing it to help the dogs, but really, they ended up helping me. She met other volunteers, made friends, and even adopted a little terrier who follows her everywhere now. The loneliness lifted, not because someone magically knocked on her door, but because she stepped outside it. So if you're sitting at home right now, thinking you don't have anyone to talk to, I urge you, make that phone call, join that club, sign up for that class. Don't worry about whether you'll fit in. Most people are too busy worrying about themselves to judge you. And the truth is, the world is full of people looking for connection, just like you are. Now let me share something else I've learned over these many years. Our bodies are like gardens. If you stop tending them, weeds take over, the soil dries out, and before long, the place looks abandoned. But if you keep pulling the weeds, adding water, planting new seeds, you'll see growth even when you think the season has passed. At 80 years old, I can't run marathons, but I can still walk, stretch, lift light weights, and keep moving. And that movement is what keeps me from stiffening up, both in body and in spirit. I remember when I first started taking daily walks back in my late 50s. At the time, it didn't feel like much, just a 15-minute stroll after dinner. But that little habit became one of the most important decisions I ever made. Over the years, those walks turned into my daily medicine, my therapy, my chance to clear my mind and connect with the world. I can't tell you how many problems I've worked out just by moving my feet and letting my thoughts catch up with me. And now, decades later, I'm still walking. Maybe a little slower, maybe with a cane on tough days, but still moving forward. Because stopping to me would mean giving up. And I'm not ready to do that. You know, many of the people I've advised over the years come to me asking for a magic pill. some quick fix that will erase their aches and restore their youth. But what I tell them is this: the magic is in the small, daily choices. Stand up and stretch in the morning. Walk to the mailbox instead of letting the neighbor kid bring it in for you. Try a new recipe instead of microwaving the same frozen dinner. These may sound simple, almost too simple, but over time, they add up to a healthier, stronger, more vibrant life. I'll give you a real example. A woman named Janet came to me when she was 75. She was overweight, tired all the time, and struggling with her balance. Her doctor had told her she needed to exercise, but she hated the gym and felt embarrassed trying to keep up in group classes. So we started small. I asked her to put on some music she liked, Elvis in her case, and just dance around her living room for 10 minutes a day. That was it. No equipment, no fancy routine, just movement. At first, she laughed and said it was silly. But she tried it anyway, and within a few months, she noticed her energy coming back, her balance improving, even her mood lifting. She told me, "I feel like I've woken up again." And all it took was a simple daily choice to move her body in a way that brought her joy. That's the key, my friends. Don't think of exercise as punishment or as some chore you dread. Find something that makes you smile and do it consistently. Whether it's gardening, dancing, swimming, or even just walking the dog, the point is to stay active and keep those muscles working. Because the moment you stop using them, your body starts losing them. But health is not just about the body, it's about the mind too. I once read that the brain is like a muscle. It needs to be worked out to stay strong. And I've seen the truth of that in my own life. I noticed my memory slipping a little. I'd forget names, misplace my keys, walk into a room and wonder why I was there. At first, I thought, well, this is just part of getting old. But then I realized I could do something about it. I started playing word games, learning new skills, even trying to memorize poems. And you know what? My memory improved. Not back to what it was in my 30s, but better than it had been. I'll tell you about my friend Margaret. She's 82, sharp as a tack, and you know why? Because she never stopped learning. She takes online classes, reads 2 or 3 books a month, and even joined a writing group where she shares short stories from her childhood. When I asked her why she keeps doing all this, she said, "Because as long as I'm learning, I'm still alive." That hit me right in the heart. She's right. The day we stop challenging our brains, we start fading away. Another thing we need to talk about is food. Now, I know at this age, most of us have a pretty set routine when it comes to meals. Bacon and eggs for breakfast, sandwich for lunch, meat and potatoes for dinner. It's comforting, it's familiar. But I've learned that what we put into our bodies at this stage matters more than ever. After my doctor told me my cholesterol was creeping up, I made some changes. More vegetables, more fish, less fried food. At first, I thought I'd be miserable giving up some of my old favorites. But surprisingly, I felt better. My energy went up, my digestion improved, and I even dropped a few pounds without really trying. And here's the funny part. I started enjoying the process of cooking differently. I learned new recipes, experimented with flavors I'd never tried before. I even took a cooking class at the community center, where I was the oldest student in the room. It was humbling at first, grumbling with knives while younger folks zipped around the kitchen. But it was also exciting. And in the end, I made a few new friends, and we still share recipes with each other today. That brings me to another point. Don't be afraid to step into spaces where you're the oldest person. It can feel intimidating, but it's also refreshing. Younger people bring new energy, new perspectives, and sometimes even a good laugh at our expense, and that's okay. I remember one young woman in that cooking class who asked me, "Sir, why are you taking this class at your age?" I told her, "Because I still have taste buds, and I don't plan on eating bland food until I die." She laughed, but she also respected it, and I think it gave her a glimpse into what aging can look like. not giving up, but continuing to live with flavor and curiosity. Now let me shift gears a little. One of the biggest hurdles in old age is fear. Fear of falling, fear of illness, fear of becoming a burden, fear of death itself. I've wrestled with all of those fears, but what I've realized is this: fear shrinks us, but courage, even small acts of courage, expand us. For example, after my hip surgery, I was terrified to walk without my cane. I thought, what if I fall again? What if I hurt myself worse this time? For weeks, I clung to that cane like it was my lifeline. Then one day, my physical therapist said, let's try walking across the room without it. My heart pounded as if I were about to climb Mount Everest. But I tried, and when I made it to the other side, tears filled my eyes. It was such a small step, but it felt monumental. That was courage. And courage, I've learned, is not about being fearless. It's about being afraid and moving forward anyway. Each of us has those moments. Maybe for you, it's making that doctor's appointment you've been putting off. Maybe it's starting that conversation with your adult children about your future care. Maybe it's saying yes to something new, even though you're worried about looking foolish. Each act of courage adds up, building a stronger, more resilient spirit. There's also something else I've seen over and over again in my work with older adults: loneliness. It creeps in quietly, like a draft through a cracked window. At first, you barely notice it. A friend moves away, a neighbor passes on, the phone rings less often. Then one day you wake up and realize you haven't had a real conversation in days. I've been there myself. After my wife passed, the silence in the house was overwhelming. I didn't even realize how much I missed the sound of another person's footsteps, the clinking of dishes in the sink, the little comments she used to make throughout the day. The loneliness felt heavier than any ache in my body. What saved me was community. I forced myself to join a men's breakfast group at the local diner. At first, I sat there quietly, just listening to the chatter around me. But eventually, I started sharing my own stories, laughing at their jokes, even telling a few of my own. And slowly, that heavy weight lifted. I realized that no matter how independent we like to think we are, humans are not meant to go through life alone. Connection keeps us alive just as much as food or medicine. I met a man in that group named Frank. He's 90 now and still sharp and lively. When I asked him his secret, he said, I never eat alone if I can help it. That stuck with me. It wasn't about what he was eating. It was about who he was eating with. Sharing meals, sharing stories, sharing laughter. It all adds nourishment that no vitamin can provide. And I think that's one of the most important lessons for anyone over 50. Don't isolate yourself. Make the effort to be around people, even if it feels easier to stay home. Another challenge that comes with age is loss. By the time you're my age, you've said goodbye to more people than you care to count. Friends, siblings, sometimes even children. Each loss carves a space in your heart that never quite fills. For a while, I tried to numb that pain by keeping busy, distracting myself, pretending I was fine. But eventually I realized the only way to carry loss is to face it, honor it, and let it become part of your story. One thing that helped me was writing letters to the people I lost. I'd sit down with a notebook and write as if I were talking to them. Sometimes I'd share a memory, sometimes a regret, sometimes just a simple, I miss you. Those letters never left the page, but they gave me a sense of connection, a way to keep the relationship alive in some form. I've suggested this practice to others, and many have told me it helped them too. Loss also taught me to appreciate the people still here. I make it a point now to tell my children and grandchildren that I love them, often. I don't assume they know. I say it out loud. I hug them. I listen to them. I show up to their games and concerts and graduations, even when my back aches from sitting too long in the bleachers, because I know time is precious and tomorrow is never promised. Speaking of grandchildren, let me share a story. My grandson once asked me, "Grandpa, do you feel old?" I thought about it for a moment and said, "Sometimes my body feels old, but my spirit feels young." He looked at me funny and said, "How can that be?" I told him, "Because age is just the number of years I've been alive. But my spirit, well, that depends on how curious I am, how much I laugh, how much I love, and those things don't have to age if you don't let them." He thought about it for a while, then smiled and said, "I hope I'm like you when I'm old." That right there was worth more than any birthday gift. Curiosity, my friends, is one of the greatest tools we have against the heaviness of aging. When you wake up each day with a question, with a little spark of wonder, you keep yourself engaged with the world. I've tried to stay curious by asking questions like, what new thing can I learn today? Who can I reach out to? How can I make this day meaningful? Some days the answers are small, trying a new crossword puzzle, calling an old friend, cooking a new dish. Other days they're bigger, traveling somewhere new, joining a class, or starting a project I've always put off. But each answer keeps me moving, keeps me connected, keeps me alive. Now let's talk about something practical but important: sleep. When I was younger, I could get by on 5 or 6 hours and still feel fine. Not anymore. In my 70s, I started having trouble sleeping, waking up at 3 a.m., tossing and turning, staring at the ceiling. It was frustrating, and it left me tired and cranky during the day. I tried pills for a while, but they left me groggy and foggy. Eventually, I learned some simple habits that made a world of difference. I stopped drinking coffee after lunch. I turned off the TV an hour before bed and read a book instead. I kept my bedroom cool and dark. And perhaps most importantly, I made peace with the idea that it's okay to nap. For so long, I thought naps were for lazy people. But the truth is, at this age, rest is medicine. A 20-minute nap in the afternoon can restore your energy and clear your mind better than a cup of coffee ever could. Another practical topic is medication. Let me tell you, managing pills becomes a full-time job in old age if you're not careful. At one point, I was on 8 different prescriptions. Some were helpful, but some were just adding side effects that made me feel worse. With the help of a good doctor, we cut it down to 3 that truly made a difference. I've always told people, don't be afraid to ask your doctor hard questions. Do I really need this one? What happens if I stop? Is there a natural alternative? Doctors are human too, and sometimes they prescribe out of habit. Advocate for yourself. I remember one gentleman I advised named George. He was on 12 different medications and felt miserable. After a thorough review with his healthcare team, they managed to cut it down to 5. Within weeks, his energy came back, his digestion improved, and he felt like himself again. The lesson there is simple. More medicine is not always better. The right medicine in the right amount is what matters. Let's not forget the importance of laughter. It sounds trivial, but I've seen laughter heal in ways nothing else can. After my hip surgery, I was stuck in bed feeling sorry for myself. My daughter brought over a stack of old comedy movies, Abbott and Costello, The Three Stooges, some Charlie Chaplin films. At first, I rolled my eyes, but as soon as I started laughing, I felt lighter. The pain didn't go away completely, but it felt more manageable. That's when I realized laughter is like oxygen for the soul. It fills you up, lifts your spirits, and gives you the strength to keep going. One of my favorite sayings is, we don't stop laughing because we grow old. We grow old because we stop laughing. I try to keep that close to my heart. Even when times are tough, even when the world feels heavy, finding something to laugh about reminds us that joy is still possible. And finally, I want to talk about purpose. In retirement, it's easy to feel like your purpose has ended, that your best days are behind you, that your role in the world has shrunk. I felt that way myself for a while, but then I realized purpose doesn't disappear with age. It just changes shape. Maybe I'm not working full-time anymore, but I can still mentor younger people, volunteer, share wisdom, and be present for my family. Purpose at this age isn't about doing everything. It's about doing something meaningful, however small. I have a neighbor, Ruth, who is 93. Every morning, she sits by her window and writes one letter. Sometimes it's to a friend, sometimes to a family member, sometimes even to a stranger she's heard about through church who could use encouragement. She's been doing this for years, and people all over town talk about how her letters brighten their lives. That's purpose. It doesn't require wealth, youth, or strength, just heart. So after all these years, what have I learned about aging gracefully? It's not about denying the fact that our bodies slow down, that aches appear, or that we face challenges we never expected. It's about embracing these changes with honesty, humor, and determination. It's about making deliberate choices every day that nurture our body, our mind, and our spirit. Let me give you an example from my own life. A few months ago, I realized that my knees were getting weaker. My balance wasn't what it used to be, and I was hesitating to walk across uneven sidewalks. I could have shrugged it off, blaming it on age, but instead I took action. I spoke with my physical therapist, adjusted my exercise routine, and invested in supportive shoes designed specifically for seniors. I added small strength exercises, stretches, and balance drills to my mornings. Within weeks, I noticed my steps were steadier, my confidence returning, and the fear of falling subsiding. Small, consistent actions made a huge difference. The same applies to social connections. I started hosting a weekly coffee morning in my backyard for neighbors and friends. At first, only a few showed up, but slowly the group grew. Now we meet every Wednesday, share stories, laugh, and help each other out when needed. Those gatherings became a lifeline, not just for me, but for many in our neighborhood. Social bonds, I've realized, are as essential to health as nutrition or exercise. They give us motivation, a sense of belonging, and joy that cannot be replicated by anything else. Nutrition, too, is a game changer. I pay attention to what I eat, not because I'm obsessed with dieting, but because I want to live each day fully. I include colorful vegetables, lean proteins, whole grains, and healthy fats. I've reduced processed foods and sugar, but I never deprive myself of pleasure. Life at 80 is about balance. I enjoy my small indulgences, a slice of pie, a chocolate bar, but I pair them with movement and mindful eating. The key is moderation and consistency, not perfection. Another area I focus on is cognitive engagement. I challenge myself to learn new things. Sometimes it's technology, like learning to use a new app or video call my grandchildren. Sometimes it's picking up a hobby I abandoned years ago, like painting or playing an instrument. The point is to keep the mind active. Studies consistently show that mental stimulation reduces the risk of cognitive decline and preserves independence. I feel that every day as I challenge myself to remember names, plan activities, or solve a puzzle, my mind stays alive because I refuse to let it grow stagnant. Physical movement remains my anchor. I walk daily, lift light weights, stretch, and practice balance exercises. Even when I'm tired or weather is poor, I find a way to move indoors. Some days it's just standing up from my chair and stretching my back and shoulders. Other days it's walking laps in my living room while listening to old jazz records. It's all movement, and all movement counts. Our bodies are remarkable machines. They respond to effort, even small effort, at any age. I also pay attention to my mental health. There's no shame in seeking help. I have a counselor I check in with occasionally, not because I'm in crisis, but because talking openly helps me process my thoughts and emotions. Emotional well-being is just as vital as physical health. I encourage others to nurture theirs, whether through conversation, journaling, meditation, or simply spending time in nature. Now let me talk about fear again. Fear can be a cruel companion, especially as we age. Fear of falling, fear of illness, fear of being a burden. But I've learned to face fear head on. I assess the risks, take precautions, and then act anyway. I make small, courageous choices every day, walking without holding the railing when safe, trying a new class, striking up a conversation with someone new. Courage compounds, and over time, it builds resilience, confidence, and freedom. Sleep and rest are non-negotiables. I stick to a consistent sleep schedule, keep my bedroom dark and quiet, and allow myself naps when needed. The quality of rest directly impacts mood, energy, and overall health. Many of us underestimate the importance of proper sleep, but at 80, I can attest, sleep is medicine, and I treat it as such. I continue to learn about my body and listen to it. If something hurts, I don't ignore it. I see a doctor, a physical therapist, or a specialist when needed. Preventative care is worth every effort. Simple interventions, footwear adjustments, balance exercises, stretching often prevent major setbacks. I've seen too many friends ignore minor issues until they became serious problems. Don't let pride or denial rob you of mobility or independence. Aging also taught me patience. I can't rush the process, nor can I demand immediate results from exercise, diet, or therapy. Progress is incremental, sometimes barely noticeable day to day. But over weeks and months, those small improvements add up. I remind myself that every step, every healthy choice, every act of courage contributes to the larger journey. And finally, joy. Never underestimate the power of joy. Seek it actively. It can be found in laughter, music, art, food, conversation, or simply watching a sunrise. I make space for it every day. I laugh with friends, hug my grandchildren, dance in my living room, savor a cup of coffee on my porch. These moments are not trivial. They are the threads that make life vibrant, meaningful, and worth living. As I look back, I realize aging is not a sentence. It's an opportunity. An opportunity to live with intention, to love deeply, to remain curious, to move, to connect, and to contribute. It's not about denying our limitation. It's about embracing our potential. Each day is a chance to strengthen our bodies, sharpen our minds, and nurture our spirit. So that every person between 50 and 80 listening right now, I want to leave you with this. The choices you make today shape the years ahead. Move your body, nourish it with good food, challenge your mind, cultivate connections, laugh often, face fear, honor loss, and seek purpose. These are not just tips, they are lifelines. They are what allow us to walk confidently, live fully, and engage with the world around us even as the years advance. And remember, it's never too late. Whether you're 50, 60, 70, or 80, you can make changes that matter. You can strengthen your body, expand your mind, enrich your spirit, and reclaim your independence. You can still create memories, laugh until your sides hurt, and hold hands with loved ones while sharing stories. Aging is not about decline, it's about transformation. And the power to shape that transformation lies in your hands. In my life, I've seen people give up, and I've seen people thrive. The difference is often one choice at a time. One decision to move instead of sit. One conversation instead of silence. One act of courage instead of surrender. One smile instead of frown. And over the years, those choices accumulate into a life lived fully with dignity, independence, and joy. So take my advice. Born from 80 years of living and decades of guiding others. Cherish your body, nurture your mind, feed your spirit, and surround yourself with love and connection. Walk every day, think every day, laugh every day, and never ever stop being curious. Your golden years can truly be the most radiant of all if you choose to embrace them fully. Because at the end of the day, what matters is not the number of candles on your birthday cake, but the light you carry in your heart, the stories you create, and the love you share. Keep moving, keep learning, keep loving, and you will see the best is still ahead.